The greatest sporting event in the world has reached the knockout rounds, the round of 16, and today I am here to give you my 100% accurate predictions. What can go wrong? Hi, and you're here on Filippo, and welcome to Tactical Manager TV, and welcome to my 2022 World Cup Round of 16 predictions video. Today we'll go through every single match and I will be giving you my score prediction and my oversimplified reasoning. I'm not going to go through it in details because I just don't feel like it. Let me know your predictions in the comment section down below. I won't judge, I promise. And if this video hits 1,500 likes, we will do the same one for the quarterfinals. Oh, and I'm also adding timestamps so you guys can skip ahead and go to the matches that you want to know the predictions. All right. Time for me to bring in my inner Nostradamus. Let's get started. The first match is the United States of America, the greatest country in the world, in my opinion, and the Netherlands, the greatest soccer nation in the world to never win a World Cup. And that is a compliment, okay? The United States showed in the group stage that this team can play. Finishing Group B in second place, undefeated with 5 points, only behind England, was no easy accomplishment. The defense has been rock solid, only conceding 1 goal off a PK, even holding England to a 0-0 draw while outplaying them. Now look, this arguably is, and in my opinion is, the most talented U.S. men's national team generation we have ever seen, led by players like Christian Pulisic from Chelsea, Weston McKennie from Juventus, Tyler Adams, Brendan Aronson from Leeds United. We have players playing in the best leagues in the world. And this team can do some damage. But now they will face the Dutch side, which also is rock solid when it comes to defending, only conceding 1 goal throughout the group stage to Ecuador. But this Netherlands side does not have as much talent as the past ones, at least not when it comes to their forwards and midfielders. They also can look very pragmatic at times, and they did get outplayed by Ecuador in the group stage. I think there might be more talent on the Dutch side, at least on paper, especially when it comes to their defense. You have Virgil van Dijk, Ake, De Ligt, Timber, and many others. However, I think the U.S. men's national team has that extra spark in them. Plus, I think Berhalter will set up the same 4-4-2 mid-block that he did against England, which will make it very hard for Netherlands to create good opportunities to score. England struggled, and I think so will the Dutch. So for the Americans, I just gotta say, believe. I'm gonna say U.S. men's national team 2, Netherlands 1, at regular time, and the United States will advance. Now, if you want a more detailed preview on this, we did do a video on it. Go check our videos. I did a whole match preview, but that's it for this video. Let's go to match number 2. And if you think I am delusional for picking the U.S. men's national team beating the Dutch, you might be right. The Dutch might beat us. Netherlands could beat the United States. As a matter of fact, they probably are the favorites. But what I will say is keep underestimating us. We love it, and we love to surprise everyone, just like we did to England. Now let's go to match number 2. Match number 2 is Argentina versus Australia, the Kangaroo Merchants. I still can't believe they got out of the group stage. Coming into the 2022 World Cup, Argentina was one of my favorites to win it, one of my title contenders. And then after losing to Saudi Arabia, they were still one of my favorites to win it. And they still are one of my favorites to win it. Even though many lost faith on them after they lost to Saudi Arabia, I think people didn't really look into why they struggled in the first game and even the second game to a certain extent. Look, I watch a lot of Argentina, and this is my take on why they struggled against Saudi Arabia, and then they adjusted a bit against Mexico and looked very good against Poland. Prior to the tournament, they lost Lo Celso, which he was their primary assister, their first assister during World Cup qualifying. What happened was, before that, they would play Lo Celso out wide, and then they had 2 double pivots that were De Paul and Paredes, 2 very defensive central midfielders. The problem was, Scaloni thought that Papu Gomez or McAllister could solve and replace Lo Celso. It didn't work. Now, McAllister and Papu Gomez are great, but they needed something more in distribution to make the game faster. Argentina looked very slow against Saudi Arabia to create. And that's what Enzo Fernandez came in. He came in against Mexico, was a big difference maker, and against Poland, he started, and he was massive. That was the game changer that Scaloni needed. So he can start McAllister replacing Lo Celso. It's not the same level, but Enzo Fernandez is the upgrade he needed in the midfield, playing alongside De Paul to get this team going. And boy, did he get them going. They destroyed Poland in a soccer way. Now, the Kangaroo Merchants and the second nation in the round of 16 to call it soccer, Australia. And man, no one had them advancing, but they did. I really did not think they were going to advance, leaving Denmark behind, a team that was a dark horse candidate for many fans, experts, and pundits. They managed to beat Denmark and Tunisia 1-0 while getting ran over by France 4-1. Look, I think Australia could end up putting a fight here, but there is absolutely no way that Messi will get retired from the World Cups by Australia. So Argentina 3, Australia 0. Sadly, only one soccer nation will advance to the quarterfinals, and that'll be the United States. Yeah, Argentina's going to go through. I think it'll be 3-0. It could be a bit tighter, but they should not have much trouble with Australia. Match number 3 is France versus Poland. And look, France in the group stage, first, they broke the World Cup champions curse. That was good. And even though they were missing players like Nkunku, Benzema, Pogba, Kante, they still looked like real title contenders. Now look, they did lose to Tunisia in the last round, but that was mainly due to them playing their reserves. Mbappe has looked fantastic. His talent is as big as his ego, but Tchouaméni has been key for this team and will be going forward. I do have some doubts and question marks in regards to France in later stages of the competition, but they should have no problem beating Poland that hasn't really looked good at all. Poland beat Saudi Arabia but was outplayed at times during that match. They also had a miserable 0-0 draw with Mexico with Lewandowski even missing a penalty kick. And against Argentina, they stood no chance. It was painful to watch Poland against Argentina, at least if you're Polish, right? I really don't care too much. Lewandowski gets also absolutely no service for this team, so there's not much that he can do. But since France can be sloppy on defense at times, I do not expect a clean sheet. So I'm going to go with France 3, Poland 1. Possibly a 4-1 France win, just like they did against Australia, but I think Poland will hold it a bit lower. So France 3, Poland 1, and France will advance to the quarterfinals. Match number 4 is England versus Senegal. England gets to this game with Senegal with a lot of question marks in regards to this team. Is Southgate going to make the right choices? Very often he does not. Is he going to start Rashford and Foden? Will he get the tactics in the game right? Will he make the right subs? Usually he does not. They were able to beat inferior opponents like Wales and Iran, but against the United States that had players in the Premier League, Serie A, Bundesliga, they got exposed. And this Senegal side has talent and they can play as well as the United States. My only concern with the Senegalese national team right now is that it seems like they lost a little bit of their bite without Sadio Mane. They will also be missing their midfielder Idrissa Gana Gueye due to yellow card accumulation. It's going to be a tough one, but I will have England advancing. England 2, Senegal 1. But don't worry, England will get knocked out at the following round in the quarterfinals. England essentially always loses to probably the first title contender that they face. The English side is always talented, but extremely overhyped. The United States sort of exposed that in the group stage. Now match number 5, and that is Japan versus Croatia. Oh my, where do I start with this one? So Croatia finished in second place back in 2018, but I don't see this team anywhere near as close as good as that one. They are still very strong, don't get me wrong. I mean, Modric still has it at age 37. Gvardiol is one of the best center backs in the world. Kovacic is a fantastic central midfielder, and Perisic can still be a motor down the flanks. But they have looked extremely shaky in the group stage. Against Morocco and Belgium, I don't think they looked very good, which means aside from the Canada game, they have not convinced me. Unlike in 2018, where they were fantastic from start to finish despite losing to France in the final. Now Japan, they have had a roller coaster ride. It's been crazy to follow Japan in the 2022 World Cup. So they start off the World Cup by defeating Germany, which was crazy. Then their manager decided to rotate. Before being qualified from the group stage, yes, he did that. And they lost to Costa Rica. You can't make this stuff up. He rotated 6 to 7 starters from one game to another for absolutely no reason. I don't know if he got arrogant, but then they lost to Costa Rica after beating Germany. And then after they lost to Costa Rica, they beat Spain. So they beat the 2 top dogs of the group, but they couldn't beat Costa Rica that lost to Germany and lost 7-0 to Spain. But of course, there's also that ball that was out of bounds and did not get called by the ref or the VAR that led to Japan's goal against Spain that they won the game. But I'm not going to dive into that. It counted. Japan won. There's not much to talk about anymore. Look, Japan is able to beat Spain and Germany and probably would have beat Costa Rica if their coach didn't have that idiotic decision to rotate. But it's all really going to come down to how Croatia deals with Japan's counters and if they can create enough opportunities against the Japanese defense. But I think Japan will go through. So I'm picking Japan as one of the dark horses right now. I'm going to say Japan 2, Croatia 1. Yes, the former runners-up of 2018 will get knocked out by Japan, in my opinion, in regular time. Match number 6 is Morocco versus Spain. This is going to be a fun one. So this is an interesting one, especially due to the relationship between both countries. Also, let's talk about Hakimi. He has both nationalities since he was born in Madrid in Spain, but he plays for Morocco, obviously, one of the best fullbacks in the world. This game can get feisty, and I'm looking forward to it. Spain has looked unimpressive, in my opinion, so far in the World Cup. That back line has looked extremely shaky. They have even been playing Rodri as a center back, which, in my opinion, he's better as a central defensive midfielder, and Pep Guardiola agrees with me. I also don't know if Sergio Busquets is still capable of protecting the back line as he used to. I don't think he's a good anchor for that team anymore, but he is still starting. I would also not trust Morata as well later in the stages of the World Cup, and this is one of those teams that just has a lot of possession and no penetration, which is just masturbation. Now, Morocco, on the other hand, has looked decent and even topped their group with Belgium, Croatia, and Canada in it. Ziyech continuously looks like a threat. Hakimi is one of the best fullbacks in the world. Bono is a great goalkeeper that plays in La Liga. Like many players in this match, many of them know each other. So I think this game will be tough and very close. I think it will come down to a 2-2 draw, and Spain will advance on PKs. No, truly, this round of 16 between Morocco and Spain, most people are going to pick Spain. And sure, they might be the favorites, but this one can really go either way. I said 2-2, but I just think this will overall end on a draw, and we'll go to extra time. And then we'll see if someone can win on extra time. But very likely, I think it'll go to PKs, and then I'll just have Spain advancing for the sake of it. But it's 50-50, man. Don't forget, if you made it this far in the video, make sure to smash the like button. If we hit 1,500 likes in this video, I will do a quarterfinals one as well. Now let's go to match number 7. Match number 7 is Portugal versus Switzerland, and that's a tough matchup because Portugal has looked shaky under Fernando Santos for years, ever since they won the Euros back in 2016. Cristiano Ronaldo is not the same player he once was. The first touch doesn't look as good, he doesn't look as sharp, and they lost their left back Nuno Mendes, even though the replacement will be João Cancelo on the left back and Diogo Dalot on the right back. At least you'd hope Fernando Santos would do that. As for Switzerland, this is a very good side, and they always are good, and they usually overachieve. They knocked out France in the Euros last year, and they looked good in the group stage, only losing to Brazil 1-0 and defeating Serbia 3-2. Honestly, this is a game that can go either way, but I'm going to go with a pick of talent. I think talent will find a way to go through, and I think the Portuguese side is more talented. And I hope Fernando Santos gives Rafael Leão more minutes. I think he's their best forward right now. Bruno Fernandes and Bernardo Silva are also going to have to step up. Bruno Fernandes did step up against Uruguay, and Bernardo Silva has been having, not that great of a World Cup, but he's a key player for Portugal. I'm going to say Portugal 2, Switzerland 1. So just one thing to make it clear. In the past, Switzerland was known for their defense, and I think their defense is very good. And this team has the perfect mix of veterans and some semi-young players. We'll see how they do. Shaqiri continues to overperform for this team. Ebola can be very dangerous in the counter, but I'm going to go with Portugal 2-1. I think the Portuguese side will advance to the quarterfinals. Oh, and by the way, I'm a big fan of Ronaldo, but I think if Portugal wants to win this World Cup, I think they need to bench him. Okay, I would probably start Rafael Leão up top, even though he plays on the wing normally. Just my opinion. Just my opinion. Nothing else, okay? No need to call him Penaldo or anything else in the comment section. Match number 8 and the last one of the round of 16 for this video is Brazil versus South Korea. A big surprise. Look, let's look at it this way. Brazil did lose to Cameroon in the last game, but they played the reserves. The whole team was the reserve squad. And South Korea defeated Portugal in the last game, but Portugal also played an entirely reserve squad, or at least 90% of it was reserves. Brazil's starting 11 still performed very well in this tournament against Serbia and Switzerland, not allowing one shot on target, defeating Serbia 2-0 and defeating Switzerland 1-0. Neymar is questionable, that is a problem, but it looks like he should be able to come off the bench. I think the major concern for this match are the fullbacks. Why do I say that? At the time of this recording, Alex Telles, Alexandro, and Danilo are injured. So the right back position, I'm not too concerned about Brazil because they can play Militão there and he should be just fine. Now, not having Alex Telles and Alexandro, you don't have a left back. And against Cameroon, he ended up having to play Marquinhos there. So I don't know what Chichi will do if no one can play the left back position, but that is probably my main concern. Less about Neymar, more on those positions. Now, it is important to point out that earlier this year, they had a friendly between Brazil and South Korea at South Korea with a 5-1 Brazil victory. Now, obviously, friendlies, World Cups, it doesn't matter. Anything can happen once this game starts, but I don't see Brazil losing this one. When they play their best 11 with Casemiro on the field, Vinicius Jr., possibly Neymar back, Richarlison that has been great for Brazil, Rafinha, and possibly Paquetá also starting, Thiago Silva. All these guys didn't play against Cameroon. Brazil should be fine, and they should go through. I'm going to say Brazil defeats South Korea 2-0. So yeah, that's my prediction. Brazil will defeat South Korea 2-0, a comfortable win. I expect that if they lose to South Korea, it's going to be probably one of the biggest upsets in World Cup history. Also, with this Brazilian loss to Cameroon 1-0, this is the first World Cup since 1994 that no national teams win all 3 games in the group stage. That hasn't happened since 1994, which, by the way, was a World Cup that Brazil won. So to wrap things up, this is the bracket of the 2022 World Cup. This is how it looks. On the left side of the bracket, you have Netherlands and the United States facing each other for the round of 16, which I picked the United States to advance, which would face the winner of Argentina and Australia, which obviously I picked Argentina. And then down at the same bracket, that same side of the bracket, you have Japan facing Croatia and Brazil facing South Korea, which I have Japan advancing and Brazil advancing facing each other in the quarterfinals. Now, when you go to the right side of the bracket, the other side, you have England facing Senegal and France facing Poland, which if the prediction goes right, you probably will have an England versus France quarterfinals. Now, still on that side of the bracket, the right side, you have Morocco versus Spain, a great game to watch, and Portugal versus Switzerland. So that's it, everyone. That's my prediction for the 2022 World Cup round of 16. Don't forget, 1,500 likes, and I will be doing the quarterfinals one as well. We'll be doing also many live watch-alongs here on the channel, especially for the United States and the South American nations, Argentina and Brazil. I want to thank you all very much for watching, and have a great day.